This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Eat, Explore, Love the podcast. I'm so excited to be chatting with you guys today about my visit to the city of Florence. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about my third visit. The first time I visited Florence was during my study abroad program. The second time was to visit my sister, which you will hear more about on Wednesday's episode of Eat, Explore, Love. And this time is about my trip with my father on my birthday. I think it's also important in this episode to take advantage of the opportunity and talk about birthdays in general, because a lot of people have a lot of passionate feelings about their birthdays. And my opinion on my birthday has evolved over the years, and it's complicated and there's a lot of layers to it, but that will be at the end of the episode in the love portion, as it always is. For now, enjoy this episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast, Florence edition. So my father and I went to the following restaurants. I just want to reiterate that we were not completely happy with the options that were set out for us in the Florence portion of our trip, but, you know, it is what it is. We did the best that we could and tried to go to AIC-approved restaurants and weren't always successful, but here goes nothing. We went to Lorenzo de' Medici, and it was an AIC-approved restaurant, and the quality of food was just not up to the standards of what we had just had in Naples and other parts of Italy. But if I was going to Italy for the first time and this was my first meal, not so bad. I probably would have appreciated it a lot more. We'd become a little bit snobbish in our expectations, so I don't want to say that no one should go try out Lorenzo de' Medici. It was just not the best out of every place that we went to in Italy. We also went to La Giostra, which is where my sister and I went and had a really great time. So because the memories with me eating there with my sister were so great, I wanted to replicate the experience. Unfortunately, it did not live up to my expectations or my memory. It was lunchtime, which I believe my sister and I also went at lunchtime, and for whatever reason, I guess word has gotten out about this restaurant. It was really jam-packed. The waiters and the staff were not as focused on making it a more pleasurable experience and in making sure you felt safe with it being gluten-free. I still personally enjoyed my meal. I think that you have to be willing to try things, the free appetizer that they give you, but my sister and I my father and I were a little bit disappointed because it just wasn't living up to memory of what my sister and I had when we went. La Caria in Santa Croce, I probably totally messed up pronouncing that, but if you are interested in the spelling, go to the blog hieatexplorelove.com. My sister lived right across the street from that gelato shop. They have gluten-free cones there, so she reminded me of that place, and we went to go check it out, and I had a little special birthday treat for myself and having gelato there. So those are the places that I can recommend that you go and check out in Florence. the tours. I personally enjoyed them. My father didn't. I think my father had a hard time understanding what the intentions of these free walking tours are. So I just want to specify for anybody going on a free walking tour, it is basically to give you the template and the whereabouts of the city. Normally when you're going for a general city tour. I tried to book something that was specified in the Medici historical portion of Florence. Again, it's a free walking tour, so I don't think it's fair to always expect the same caliber of tour guiding experiences that you get with someone that is paying for the tour guide or for paying for a tour, where this is a pay of whatever you feel comfortable paying with for tip. I think to hold them in the same place and same expectations, it's not really fair. So between that and also when you're going on a free walking tour, you are going to just see the areas of the city, and it is primarily of giving you ideas like those hop on, hop off buses. You're just seeing the areas of the city, and then you could go back and delve deeper in later on. That's how this specific tour operated. And it went to different Medici locations. And you did stop in here for 20 minutes and you went to those spots. I looked up the other tours that were being offered as well. You were stopping at the same spots no matter what, and it was just taking just as long. So it wasn't the experience my father was expecting, but I'm so used to going on these walking tours. I got what I needed out of the tour. I went on the best tour in Florence, Renaissance, and Medici Tales. You can get the link to it in the blog post, hieatexplorelove.com. I personally enjoyed it. If anybody wants something more than just getting the basics of something, perhaps you should do a tour that you are paying for where these folks are specialized in such things. It's hard to answer for people's expectations because I was not bothered. My father did not like it. I just want to be transparent and honest as I review what I got to do. I personally did not have an issue with it. My father did, so maybe perhaps take that into consideration when you're booking this tour. Another place that I went to is Baboli Gardens, which was a recommendation from Casey Rose. I signed up and spoke with her. She is a TikTok influencer, an American expat living in Florence. She just got engaged to her Italian beau, which is amazing. But a lot of the things that I tried to go and hit were all, the rest of my recommendations, I should say, of what I'm about to tell you guys, were all recommendations from Casey Rose. And I'll put her information through in the link in the description for for this show. Casey is amazing. She is a total sweetheart. I highly recommend that if you are taking a trip to Italy, to sign up to chat with her, and she really takes the time to walk you through and get to know you and your interests and helps you guide you through. She has multiple different tiers of how to go through and booking your Italy trip, and she will guide you as much or as little as you want to in accordance to what you sign up for. So again, please check out her website. I'm going to put that in the show notes. So again, these recommendations of Baboli Gardens, there was a small cost, but the gardens were absolutely beautiful. I would recommend that you give yourself a bunch of time. I thought I would be able to kind of just go through quickly, walk around, and then call it a day. There is some climbing involved, so you do need to give yourself some time. I wish I spent more time there. We thought, oh, okay, we have an hour. We'll go check it out and then go to dinner. We needed probably more than that hour, if I'm going to be honest. So be aware as you're booking the time. I also went to Babé, the wine window. It was a really cute experience. It was a little too crowded, which made it not entirely fun. And a lot of the people were really rude that were there, which took away from the experience. But I definitely recommend that you research on Google. It usually gives suggestions of times of when things are crowded and not crowded. So I would look into that and then go at a time when it's not crowded. The other thing that you did was go to and did a little hike up to Piazza Michelangelo, and the view was so worth it. I loved it a lot. I really liked Florence. I would like to go back on my own and spend more time in the city. But because it was difficult to have to, my father's a little bit more particular and not very go with the flow, which he wanted to do a lot of stuff of reminiscing for my sister's experience. And that was difficult when I had things I wanted to do for my birthday and celebrate my birthday, and finding that balance, especially with my sister not being there, and to have to showcase her experience was a little bit awkward. So I wish it happened a little bit differently. But thanks to Casey Rose, there were some things I was able to find and do that were interesting and wonderful for me and my birthday. Okay, so as I've done in the past couple of episodes, I'm also going to give my father's thoughts. He did not want to be interviewed for this podcast, but he was willing to contribute in the written form. So here we go. These are his words, not mine. Overwhelming city, too much to see in such a short amount of time, but we did see a lot. I didn't think the food was great, but we only ate at one or two places. Beautiful city, knew a little history about the city, so I had a base of knowledge and understanding, but still so much I didn't know, and loved seeing and learning about the different parts of the city and the structures that have been around for hundreds of years. In awe of the church and Duomo. So big. The Medici homes were awesome. Of course, we went when the house tours weren't available. We were very shocked, which I'm not sure if that's true, folks, but that's okay. My favorite was the day we went across the river, up the hill, overlooking Florence. So at Piazza Michelangelo is what he's referring to. It was spectacular, so big. I love sightseeing, so anywhere we went was awesome and had a lot of the same qualities of nostalgia. We walked on the streets over 1,000 years old, too much to comprehend all over. I remember the first night going to a gluten-free restaurant. Everything was very clean and medieval looking. It was great. The food was okay. Unfortunately, after eating at Naples, nothing can compare, although I did enjoy the Verona food. I don't remember the Airbnb. I remember bits and pieces of the tour. We did a lot of walking and in the rain. He did not like the pancakes at the cafe by Kent State, which we went to go visit there. I did not mention that in the eat portion before, so that's okay. But he did love the ambiance. Couldn't get over the artistry and detail in each building because the church and the Duomo. How did they build and create this stuff thousands of years ago? Our capabilities far surpass theirs, but their stuff is far more beautiful and more stable than what we make today. When you look at the city, you could imagine it was much different, when you look at the city, you could imagine it wasn't much different back then. The little window to get wine was cool, but it took way longer than it should have to get your glass of wine. That's all I can remember. So that you heard my perspective before, this is my father's perspective, and now on to the lesson for the week. Okay, so like I said before, my relationship with birthdays is pretty complicated. I always loved my birthday. It was an incredibly special time. We have a special family birthday song, which other people have since tried to co-opt, but it is our family birthday song. And my father always made sure that birthdays were the biggest deal ever. And my grandmother too, my mama and papa, but especially mama, she always made sure that you felt like a queen or a princess on your birthday. So growing up, I always loved birthdays. When I did get diagnosed with celiac, it was right like 2 weeks before my 15th birthday. It started to change because then I didn't have the most supportive extended family as far as this gluten-free journey. It made us feel even more of other. This is how I felt at 15 years old. I'm sure that nobody intended for us to feel this way, but it felt like people were even more judgmental. And again, when you're a teenager, that type of stuff is always times a million, whether that it's based in reality or not. But it doesn't make 15-year-old Ashley's feelings any less valid. It changed the vibe around birthdays for me. And I started to just really dread and dislike my birthday. My birthday became a time where It was just one of the many times family gathered. I didn't feel that anybody cared if they really saw me or not. It was just any other day, and it didn't feel special anymore. And it probably sounds a little bit narcissistic, but sometimes there are certain milestones and certain events in life that you want to feel celebrated for your accomplishments in life. And there was about a 10-year period where I just didn't feel that for not only birthdays, but graduations and special events of things that I did accomplish in my career that were worth celebrating. I felt like it was like pulling teeth. And it became about family members wanting to see siblings or other family members. And like I said, there was one birthday party that I had where I left and nobody even noticed. So it made birthdays a little bit complicated, if I'm being completely honest and for real. But a really interesting thing happened. That all turned around with COVID. My first COVID birthday, I have never felt more special than in the 2 COVID birthdays that I had. And it also was a time where I became old enough where in those COVID birthdays, I got to realize I had a partner at the time that allowed other people to make decisions when I would tell him specifically, I would like for this to happen on my birthday. And he didn't want to do that because he didn't care about birthdays, and that's fine. But if other people gave a different plan, he went with that other plan. He didn't, regardless of if it was what I wanted or not. And so in those COVID birthdays, I got to wake up to those realizations of once COVID is done, I'm going to do what makes me happy instead of what makes everybody else happy. It's the one day of the year where I'm allowed to be selfish. But it was that first COVID birthday was the first time, that first COVID birthday was the first time in years where people reached out, where people gave phone calls, where I heard from people I hadn't spoken to since however long and got to catch up with people and really get that one-on-one time that I like to have with people. I am not great with texting and just being like, hey, what's up? And in more casual senses, I like to look you in the eye. I like to have phone calls. I like to do whatever. I also am very particular of if you send me a happy birthday on social media or in a group text, it doesn't count. It's not a birthday wish. You are wishing the birthday for the show to show everybody else that you did it, not necessarily to wish me a happy birthday. And maybe that's just me being an old lady, but that's my thing. And that all was the beginning of me remembering what birthdays are about. It was a time to be able to reconnect with people, to celebrate that I am living because it was better than the alternative. And how did I want to celebrate living? And I decided I wanted to celebrate by myself, just taking myself on a trip to wherever my choosing was, and to just, whether it was to visit my grandparents or go visit my friend Christina in Boston, and getting to celebrate that way made it all the more wonderful and special for me. And I've had pretty good birthdays since 2020. As long as I remembered that it was about celebrating life and not necessarily about making everybody else happy. So I am going to continue that tradition. I am being a little selfish. I am asking my best friend. I am turning 30 next year, and I am going to twist all the negative birthdays that I had and focus that energy into this really big positive 30th birthday, celebrating this milestone in life, which I'm sure people are rolling their eyes at, but that's okay because you don't have to do that for your birthday. But that's not about you. It's going to be about me. And my best friend and I are going to plan a 30th birthday bash for myself, and we're going to have a really amazing, fun time. And I'm so excited, because even if it's just me and her dancing to music, it will be great. And if other people show up too, that will also be amazing. So I'm still figuring out how I feel about birthdays. It's quite complicated. I feel like people are really judgmental, and it's cool to not care about your birthday. But I'm starting to change about that. I think that life is something to be thankful for. I don't think it makes sense to act cool about getting another year older and living your life. I think if you want to celebrate with a big party, that is your choice. And if that's how you want to celebrate another year above ground, that is fantastic. And who is anyone to judge? If you want to do nothing but sit at home on the couch and watch TV and eat a bowl of ice cream by yourself, or a whole carton of ice cream to yourself, then that is also fantastic. I've done it both ways, and both are amazing. What I would love to see stop happening, which happens in my family all the time, is the judgments of how other people choose to celebrate their birthdays. And I think, I think it's also important when you have allergies, it adds this other layer of it being complex when celebrating your birthday. I think that other people need to not make comments. I think if you are attending someone that has an allergy, whether that be a peanut allergy, a dairy allergy, a gluten allergy, whatever kind of allergy, I think you can keep the comments to yourself about how you feel about going and eating gluten-free food at somebody else's house. And that's in general, because there's no need for someone to feel bad. The quality of food has gotten way better. It is your prejudice and your stigma. And you know what you can do? You can try and to be constructive to the conversation and productive. If you are a guest going to someone that has a gluten allergy or any other type of allergies house, you can offer and say, I would love to join early and bring ingredients over and make something for you. And you can experiment in your own kitchen and then make sure that they feel comfortable seeing the ingredients and you cooking it in their kitchen, maybe perhaps, of whatever dish you want to make nice and special, and say, this is something I would like to do for you for your birthday. And if they say no, thank you, that's fine. You can nibble on something and then go home and have more of a meal if you want to. You don't need to make comments to people before you go to the party. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to make faces at the food when you're going there, because yes, that has happened at occasions. If there's enough food for everybody, try it. It will not kill you unless you have an allergy that there's an ingredient in the food that will kill you. The food's not going to kill you because it's not your personal preference of how you eat for one meal. You will be okay. So I just want not only to change the mindset of the people that are celebrating their birthdays and feeling more comfortable, but also attendees. People need to kind of get out of their own way, I think, when it comes to these types of celebrations. So food for thought, something to consider, and that's my 2 cents and stuff that I had to think about and confront on this year's birthday. It kind of solidified my feeling of it really needs to be on my terms and about what makes me happy, because I just get one day where I get to be a little bit selfish, and that is the perfect day to do so. So that's how I'm going to move forward. I'm learning how to be a little bit selfish because my life has always been about making everybody else happy, and I get very frustrated that I would like the same consideration, and the one day where I can really be a brat about that is on my birthday. So I would love to hear everybody else's thoughts on birthdays. As long as there's no judgment, you could always reach out to hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. And folks, something really exciting. I have finally caught up with the modern world and launched social media stuff. So if you reach out, you can go to hieatexplorelove on Instagram. You can check out on Eat Explore Love on Facebook. You could go to Eat Explore Love on TikTok. And I think that is all the social media that I have right now. And that's what I'm going to stick to. But you could also always reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. And I also want to send a special shout out to my friend Nicole. I don't want to say her last name because I don't know what she feels comfortable with. She's my friend since elementary school, and I haven't spoken to her in years. Her birthday is right around mine. It's about a week after, and she's just been popping up and in such great support on social media, and she signed up for the newsletter that I have that comes out every week on Sundays, reminding folks about the blog posts and the podcast episodes. It pleasantly surprised me that she has just been so supportive every step of the way when she hasn't spoken to me in so long. So I feel like it's becoming more and more apparent on social media where I'm seeing her name pop up even more frequently. And I just want to give a special shout out to her on the podcast and say thank you so much for your support, because there's no need for you to do that or for any of you guys here listening. And I really appreciate that you have been so supportive. So thank you. And thank you to the rest of you guys too. But Nicole's the one whose name I see all the time. And if you want your name shouted out on a future episode, you could do what Nicole does and comment on social media stuff and follow and subscribe and all that fun stuff. So she is the world's best Eat, Explore, Love listener. So thank you, Nicole. Okay, folks, time for the wrap-up questions. Do I feel the city is safe for those with celiac? Yes. Favorite place to eat? The gelato shop. Favorite memory from the experience? I think it was Baboli Gardens. Is this a city to vacation to or live in? Both. Is this a place to relax or be active? Both. How are the people? They were all right. Not bad. And that's all for this episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. As a reminder, we are now on social media. If you want to know the platforms and the handles, go on to the description notes. It's all right there for you. Thank you so much again. Till next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.